Hey, what's up, everyone? Okay, this is Penny, and I'm Angela Florez. I help ambitious, game-changing female coaches make a bigger impact through badass marketing. And today, I want to talk to you about webinars. So webinars are one of the most powerful way to sell online. Why? Because you get people to come to a room. It's like going to a conference and you give your speech and then you sell your product. So you have the time to create your expertise, right? To show people that you're the expert in the room, to show your product, your offer, and then sell it to them. So webinars are still the best way to sell online, but there are certain mistakes that everybody's doing that doesn't allow them to have a successful webinar. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk to you about those mistakes that I see people make all the time, and I want you to be prepared for it and not make these mistakes if you are planning to launch your webinar. All right, so Penny's talking while I'm doing this, so you might hear her all the time. But okay, so first thing is, do you know your audience? A lot of people venture into doing webinars without knowing if their audience is right for a webinar or not. Not everybody should be doing webinars. That's the first thing. So do you know your ideal client, and would they sit down and watch a 1-hour webinar? If the answer is no, if your ideal client is someone that is always running around, they're always busy, and they would never sit down and watch a 1-hour video, then why would you even spend time doing a webinar? Okay, that's the first thing. Now, if your ideal client is someone that would be willing to sit down and listen to you for an hour, then awesome. Then doing a webinar is the right thing for you. Now, let's think about the process of the webinar. The first thing you do is you get people to sign up for your free masterclass, your free webinar. Okay. Now, do you have that automation already? Do you have a funnel where people can sign up for your masterclass already? If you don't, then you need one. You need a platform, a funnel where people can come in and join your masterclass. That's the first thing. How would people know that you have a masterclass if you're not promoting it, if you don't have a place where they can opt in? Now, one of the biggest things with webinars is that people don't show up, right? You put your funnel, you have an opt-in page where people can show up for, they can opt in for your masterclass, and then they don't show up. You have 100 people registering and 10 people show up. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that, yes, they have a funnel, they make people opt in, but then they don't nurture their audience between the moment they opt in and the moment of the webinar. So what can we do to make them show up? Number one, you're going to send them emails, reminding them of the webinar and give them sneak peeks of what they're going to get and why they should go to the webinar. Your email sequence pre-webinar, before the webinar, needs to be strong and needs to really convince people to show up. They already gave you their email. They already said, yes, I'm interested in whatever you're talking about, but you need to remind them. Just think about it. We are so busy. We are constantly moving around. We forget things. If things are not in our calendar and we don't have a constant reminder of an appointment that we have on certain date, especially if we haven't paid for it, we're not going to show up. So you need to constantly be reminding them of that webinar. Okay, so that's the first mistake people make. They don't have a strong sequence between the moment people opt in and the webinar. Now, what else can we do? I know most of you must be thinking like, oh, I never open emails, so that's not going to work. Emails don't work. Yeah, it's true. The open rate for emails is somewhere around 20, 10%, 30%, which sucks. So what can you do to make that conversion rate go up a little bit more, that show up rate. We can use ManyChat. We can use a chat bot that tells people, hey, I'm going live right now, come and join me. So what you can do is when people opt into your webinar, give them a free gift as an exchange for them to join your ManyChat list. So something like a roadmap, a cheat sheet, something that you can give them that complements your webinar so that they can download it through ManyChat. And then when you're going live, you can send them a notification through Messenger saying, hey, I'm going live, come and join me. Messenger bots have an opt-in rate of over 80%, 90%. So you get to send emails to remind them, and you also get the ManyChat, the chat bot sequence to remind them of the masterclass. So you increase your conversion of that show up rate by a lot, all right? And these also works for challenges and all kinds of live events that you throw out there. For big events, challenges, webinars, masterclasses, you need to be doing this, right? So nurture your list and remind them of the webinar. Now, another mistake that I see people make when doing a webinar is that they go live and they are not confident, or they don't have a cool presentation that is formatted to sell their products. A lot of people are so stressed about selling that they go live and they just start mumbling and they don't know what to say. So one of the things that you need to do to have a very, very good webinar is have a presentation, and the way that is structured. So Russell Brunson came with this perfect webinar structure, which works amazingly. Everybody should be doing it. And if you don't have a perfect webinar structure already, let me know and we can work on it together. So you introduce yourself and you tell your story. Your story is the one that's going to sell your product. If you are able to engage with people emotionally and do that future pacing where people see how their future can be once they work with you, once they consume your product, that's what's going to sell in your webinar. A webinar is not about, hey, hi, my name is Angela, this is what I'm selling, go and buy it. That will never work. It's all about stories and engaging emotionally with your audience. If you're not connecting emotionally and you're not doing that personal engagement and connection with your audience in a webinar, it's not going to work, okay? So let's recap. How many people are you sending to your opt-in page and how many of them are converting? I always talk about conversions. I always talk about your numbers. So it's a whole process from your ads to your opt-in page to your nurture sequence to your actual presentation and your offer. You need to look at every single step of the way and see how you can improve each little step. So it's really interesting. I just finished a call with one of my clients and she's doing a challenge. It's in 7 days and she already had a landing page, an opt-in page for her challenge. And I told her, I'm not sure this is going to convert, but it had converted before with her warm audience. So we launched the ads. And when we launched the ads, at first they weren't converting very well, so we optimized them. And now they're hitting the mark. We have a benchmark of all the numbers that we want to hit. Now they're doing it. Now, the next step is, what is the funnel doing? It was converting at 17%. All right, we need to fix that. We want that to be over 40, 50%. So we made some changes to the copy, to the headline, and now we're testing that. So it's exactly the same with your webinar. Look at how your ads are performing. A lot of people say, oh, my webinar didn't work because the ads are not working, but you need to look at the whole process as one machine. If the ads are not working, then it means that you're not getting enough people to join your webinar and to see it. It might not be your offer. Your offer is great. Your webinar presentation is great, but you still don't have enough people to join your webinar. So let's fix the ads first. Now, the ads are great, but I'm still not getting enough people to join the webinar. Maybe then it's the opt-in page that's not working. Let's fix that. Look at every single step of the way and fix each piece of it. It's like a puzzle, all right? Each piece of the puzzle needs to be fixed, and then everything will come together and work, all right? A lot of people just think that their presentation is not good, but it's actually a lack of people watching the webinar that's not good, okay? So don't make that mistake of thinking that there's something wrong with your webinar when it's actually a problem with the ads, or you need to start promoting that webinar ahead of time and make a lot of noise. Tell everybody that you're doing a masterclass, that you're doing a webinar, run ads, do it organically. Tell everybody that you're doing it so they show up, and constantly reminding them. Okay, so another thing that you can do, we were talking about what you can do between the moment they opt in and the moment the webinar is, you send emails, you send the chatbot notifications, and you can also do a retargeting campaign so that you remind them through Facebook ads that the webinar is coming. All right. Okay, guys, if you're thinking about launching your webinar, let me know. I would love to help you with your strategy to launch it properly and get the results that you want, because webinars are the best way to sell your products online. So what are you waiting for to do it? Even if it's a automated webinar, you still need to apply most of these things. So let's work on it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this episode of the Cold to Soul Machine Show. I'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time on our next episode. If you have any questions, let me know. And well, happy Thanksgiving. That was yesterday, but still happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and enjoy Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all of those amazing things that are coming up. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.